All right, so part two of Outwitting the Devil. I'm gonna talk about the self-defense against drifting that can be applied through these simple methods. It's about 10 of them. And the first one that the devil gave, and mind you that the devil is actually Napoleon Hill is, I don't know if this is literal or he actually was able to tap into an energy where the devil had to give up these secrets. But if you read and listen to the book and you really can understand what's going on, this is real life. Like, these things are real. So the number one thing that the devil said can defend yourself against drifting is do your own thinking at all times, on all occasions. The fact that human beings are given complete control on nothing but being able to think their own thoughts and control their own mind is laden with significance, which means it's one of the most important things you could ever understand as a human being. You have the right to think your own thoughts. Everything is built around you to drift, not think your own thoughts. You have to believe in yourself. You let people tell you you're not this or that, you're gonna start thinking you're not this or that. Even if they tell you you're not this or that, you can choose to literally just deny those thoughts from those people and think your own thoughts and tell yourself you're this, you're that. That's the number one thing. You have to think your own thoughts. Feed yourself with positive thoughts. Visualize positive things. You have to do that. Otherwise, you're always going to be met with opposition. If you're watching TV on Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat all day and you don't have the power to think your own thoughts with these things, you should probably quit immediately. If you want to be anything, if you want to successfully see or manifest with the help of God, you actually want to do these things, you're going to have to gain control over your thoughts, because that is what's going to keep you from drifting. And once you gain control, you're going to be able to focus. And even when anything that's coming in from the outside, from the devil, is trying to infiltrate your mind, you will be able to redirect your mind automatically once you gain control of your thinking. Number two is decide definitely what you want from life. Create a plan. Be willing to sacrifice everything if necessary, rather than accept permanent defeat, which means giving up. If you are currently drifting, the only way to defend yourself from it is to think, and then you need to decide, what do I really want in this world more than anything? Like, your real purpose in life. You need to think, find that out first, create the plan, and then 3, anything else that does not align with that, you need to eliminate it immediately. I don't care who it is, what it is, where it is. Eliminate it now. And if you can't do it at that moment, you need to have the plan to eliminate it, and eliminate it as soon as possible, but preferably now. Eliminate it. There's no negotiations. Kobe said that. Long live Kobe. Kobe Bryant said, edit your life. If you have a goal, you need to edit everything that is going to stop you from that goal. You need to eliminate that from your life immediately. That's all that means. So decide what you want, create the plan, and sacrifice everything. Whatever's not aligned with that plan, eliminate it. Point blank, period. Number 3 is analyze temporary defeat, no matter of what nature or cause, and extract from it the seed of equivalent benefit. So there's no such thing as failure unless you quit. That's what he was trying to say as with permanent defeat. Permanent defeat is actually quitting on your purpose. Like, literally in your mind, you like, I quit. I'm not doing this no more. You're not trying anymore. But temporary defeat is just anybody that's been great. Michael, LeBron, Bezos, like I said, Jay-Z, Trump, Biden, all types of people. Even you. Anything that you've done successfully, you got to think about to when you were working at it and something got in the way of that thing. But it wasn't that you failed, it was just that you weren't ready to conquer that. Even on like games, back in the day when you had a game, you had to start all over at the beginning if you did not complete the mission right. You had to start all over, and eventually you would finally beat that level. That's all life is about. All you gotta do is keep going. Analyze why you failed. Analyze why you were defeated at that moment. Take with it the equivalent seed, because everything that you do, like if you're going to get $1,000,000 and you don't get that $1,000,000 for 5 years, if you keep going, you're gonna get that $1,000,000. And on the fifth year, when you get that $1,000,000, did you fail? No, you succeeded. You finally got the $1,000,000. You just analyze, this didn't work, this didn't work. And you keep going back. You're like, all right, that didn't work. How do I find another way to do this? And then eventually your defeats, I don't want to call it failure, defeats, they're going to show you how to get to, your mind is going to create the way to finally get there. But the bigger the goal you set, the more opposition you're going to get, because you got to become the person to get everything in life. You got to become that person first to attain it. So that's all that is about. You have to figure out the way to become that, and you'll get it. Anything, you will get it. Number 4 is be willing to render useful service equivalent to the value of all material things you demand of life, and render that service first. You just got to figure out what you want to serve people with. Give that service first. My example would be like rappers back in the day, they had to rap for free. A lot of them had to rap for free, get mixtapes, build, and then eventually the service that they were given for free came back tenfold. The money came back tenfold. The fans came back tenfold. Everything became easy for these people because they put in the work, they put in the service, and that's just the law of karma. That's just the law of, I can't think of the law right now. It's an actual universal law that God created for us. So you reap what you sow. So you give that service first, and like I said, 5 years, it may be that fifth year where everything comes in a flood. Like you gonna make it tenfold because you put in that service. But you can't be thinking about money. Money is not going to, unless you already got the money and you put the money in, you still got to put the money in to get it back. So no matter if you using money or you're not using money, whatever you're doing to give a service to people, do that first. Eventually the money is going to come, even if your goal is to make money. Like, you got to render service. Like, that's what it's all about. The richest people in the world, no matter what you think of them, they render a service. They actually render a high-level service to the world, whether it's entertaining, marketing. If you look at all the things, like, once again, Amazon, he renders a service. Like, everyone over the world receives packages every day from this person. He distributes the service, so you don't have to go and get these things from the store. You can actually order it. People are going to actually bring it to you. That's a service. Number 5 is recognize your brain as a receiving set that can be attuned to receive communications from the universal storehouse of infinite intelligence to help you transmute your desires into physical equivalent. That is probably one of the hardest things to explain if you don't actually understand what he's saying there. So your brain actually receives thoughts from the universal storehouse of infinite intelligence. In other words, the devil is talking about ether. This is where he uses his whispers and puts negative thoughts in your brain. You probably don't even know that. If you don't know that, look up what ether is. It's something that's very real. You can receive thoughts. That's where your thoughts come from, the ether. So a lot of these thoughts have already ideas, everything. If you ever had an idea and somebody took it, but you don't even know this person, that's where it comes from. It was always in the ether. You just didn't act on it. They did. So recognize that your brain is actually at all times receiving communications from the universe, which is the ether. And it's on you to understand that. You gotta filter that. filter that. Let them pass by, filter it, understand that, and use what you can use positively. And the negative stuff, filter it out. Replace it with positive stuff. Number 6 is recognize the greatest asset is time. The only thing except the power of thought which you own outright, and the one thing which can be shaped in it, whatever material things you want. Budget your time so none of it is wasted. You could get your thoughts back, you could get money back, but you can't get time back at all. This time I'm spending right now, can't get that time back. I can't get none of this back. So you gotta literally understand that that's your greatest asset. The time you put in on something, you gotta put that time in. Like, it's a certain, like, mastery is like 10,000 hours. To master something, you have to do it for 10,000 hours to become a master of anything in the world. 10,000 hours. You not starting what you want to do today. You can't get that time back. It's only 24 hours in a day. Most of the time you're gonna sleep away 6 to 8, maybe less if you younger. But that's your greatest asset, time, which is why you have to be focused, because the more you drift, the more the time goes, the less time you're gonna have, and we don't know how much time we have, obviously. So that's your greatest asset. Don't play around with your time. Don't let people waste your time. Don't let yourself waste your time. Number 7, recognize the truth that fear generally is a filler which the devil occupies the unused portion of your mind. It is only a state of mind which you can control by filling that space it occupies with faith and your ability to make life provide with you whatever you want. Demand it. So all that is saying, the idle mind is idle time. Like, the idle mind is the devil. If you ever been bored, if you ever feel yourself being bored, or you ever hear yourself saying you bored, you gotta get up and do something. Like, literally do something. Being bored is the devil. Like, it's too much stuff out here to do for you to be bored. Like, literally. So all he's saying there is being bored is his playground. If you're bored, if you've ever been bored, the next time you get bored, think about your thoughts and what you actually do when you're bored. And you're gonna understand that that is drifting at its highest level. That is when you're drifting at its highest level, when you are bored, because that's when the devil's playground is right there. He's telling you, since you're bored, you ain't got nothing else to do, let's go do this. Let's go have this uncontrolled sex with this person that I barely even know, or let's go rob this person, or let's watch TV that means nothing to my growth, that's gonna poison me. Like, that's what the idle mind is, and that's what he's saying, that fear starts to fill the spaces in which you don't use. So you always should be doing something. If you're bored, like, if you just relaxing, that's cool, but always be doing something. Always move. It's the law of inertia. Isaac Newton. Hey, you know what I mean, though. The law of movement. You gotta keep moving. You gotta move. You have to move. Because if you're not moving, you're gonna be idle. You're gonna drift. That's a big thing right there. If you're bored, do something productive. Don't just do stuff that's gonna be to fill that time, because, like he said, it is a filler which the devil occupies the unused portion of the mind. So if you're bored, that means you're not using that part of your brain at that particular time, and you need to fill it with something positive, or he's gonna fill it with something negative. Whether you think you know it or not, it's happening, like, all day long with everyone. Number 8 is, when you pray, do not beg, demand what you want, and insist upon getting exactly that with no substitutes. That's a touchy subject, but I just know when I pray, I thank God. I'm Muslim, so I pray 5 times a day, and I thank God 5 times a day. And I try to pray even 6, 7 times a day outside of the 5 prayers. But a lot of times people pray begging and pleading when it's already something that's already out of control that's happened, and you're just begging why, or you're in a state of fear. But in reality, God is always going to be wanting the best for you. So if you're going to pray, you're going to be thank God for what He's capable of. If you believe in God, you believe that God can produce anything, which He can, then you should not be begging and pleading. You should thank God, and you should demand the universe, because God created the universe. So you should demand that the universe give you what you want, which also means you need to work for that. So God helps people that help themselves. You need to demand it, and by praying for it, you also need to act upon your prayers. Don't just pray and just think it's gonna happen just because. Some things will happen that's out of your control, but if you're not demanding it, you're coming from a weak and low frequency, and that's just begging, and that's just not going to get it done. Number 9, recognize your life as a cruel taskmaster, and either you master it or it masters you. There's no halfway or compromising. Never accept anything from life you don't want. If you do not want it and it is temporarily forced upon you, you can refuse it in your own mind to accept it, and it will make way for the thing you want. So that's just saying life is not fair, but you don't have to accept anything that life gives you. Of course, there are things that you can't control, but my biggest example would be Helen Keller. Helen Keller, obviously, I believe she was blind, deaf, and couldn't talk, I believe. And she ended up becoming a great person. She didn't accept these things. Napoleon Hill's, I believe, grandson was deaf, and he took it upon himself. It was his grandson or his son, I believe. They said his son would never hear ever in life, and he never accepted it. Napoleon Hill never accepted it. He always worked towards his son hearing, and eventually the world produced a device which allows people to hear now, and his son was one of the first people to experience that. So yeah, just never accept failure, never accept any of that. Like, always, that's the same as temporary defeat. Like, always keep moving forward. And number 10, lastly, remember that your dominating thoughts attract through the law of nature by the shortest or most convenient route their physical counterparts. Be careful what you dwell on. All that is saying, be careful what you think about and how long you think about it. And that is really coinciding with the first one. Do all your thinking at all times, because what you think about, you're going to become. As simple as that.